RFK Jr. running mate Nicole Shanahan just floated some big news. Let's go to the clip.
What my gut tells me right now is that we just have to keep being honest. I got to just keep being honest. I got to keep focusing on what matters the most outside of party lines. I need to focus on a vision that goes beyond November. And if that means that we stay in, and, there's benefits to staying in. If we get over 5% of the vote, we actually establish ourselves as a party. 71% of Americans want a strong third party with a real shot at winning. There's even public funds available if we get over 5% of the vote. So we could get, I think it's like $13.5 million in public funds to keep the party going. And that's, that's worth something. That means that we can position for a real third party election in 2028 where we don't have to go around and spend tens of millions of dollars on ballot access, which means that we can spend all of that time and money campaigning. So, there's two options that we're looking at. And one is staying in, forming that new party, but we run the risk of a Kamala Harris and Waltz presidency because we draw votes from Trump, or we draw somehow more votes from Trump, or we walk away right now and join forces with Donald Trump and we walk away from that and we explain to our base why we're making this decision. Not easy.
Clearly.
Yeah, not an easy decision.
All right, a few things about this clip. This is on the Tom Bileyeu podcast, Impact Theory, and there's a few things to note here. Number one is that the RFK Jr. campaign is running out of money. Teddy Schleifer, who kind of covers campaign finance issues, tweeted out that RFK Jr.'s new filing, which just came out, had him with $3.9 million cash on hand, but $3.5 million in debt. And notably, RFK Jr. had refunded almost $1 million that Nicole Shanahan had given or loaned, I guess, to the RFK Jr. campaign. So there's something weird going on with the finances while they're running out of money. Number two is that they need money because they're fending off ballot access challenges all around the country, including in Pennsylvania. Now, although Shanahan is talking about them dropping out, the RFK Jr. campaign, as of today, as reported in CBS News, is continuing to fight for ballot access in places like Pennsylvania. So the real test of whether they're dropping out will come when they withdraw those attempts to stay on the ballots, because those attempts actually cost a decent amount of money. And so if they're not going to run, they're probably going to pull back. The third piece here is that it's interesting that Shanahan is admitting pretty openly that their goal is to stop a Waltz-Harris ticket, or at least that's her goal. It would be interesting to hear what RFK Jr. has to say. This comes amid news last week that RFK Jr. had sought a meeting with the Harris campaign to discuss a cabinet position. So the reporting in the Washington Post suggested that RFK Jr. was trying to parlay an endorsement of Harris into a cabinet position, something that the Harris campaign apparently rejected. And by all accounts, RFK Jr. doesn't dispute that he sought that meeting. So we're getting some mixed messages from this campaign, but this also comes amid the fact that most of the polls coming out recently seem to suggest that RFK Jr. and Nicole Shanahan's campaign, as Shanahan says, she said, we draw somehow more votes from Trump than Harris, which is an interesting statement given that she's admitted pretty openly that they're, they have more animus towards Harris-Waltz than Trump. So it kind of explains why you're drawing more support from Trump. But most of the polls suggest that Shanahan is right. They are drawing more support from Trump. And then you had some of these moments like Rogan's sort of endorsement of RFK Jr. that are sort of adding pressure to the Trump camp. Trump actually tweeted back at Rogan and suggested that Rogan would get booed at the UFC. All of this to say that this could be a seismic development. If RFK Jr. and Nicole Shanahan drop out of this race and endorse Trump, that's 3 to 6% of the vote up for grabs. Now, do I think that whole 3 to 6% is going to go to Trump? No, but an endorsement could matter, and we're talking about a game of margins here. So stay tuned for more on this. This seems like, if it is true, which is a huge if, because this is the running mate talking here, and this hasn't exactly been the most disciplined campaign, but if it is true that they drop out and endorse Trump, that could be the biggest news of the week. It could dwarf anything happening at the convention. So we'll stay tuned for more.